at IELTS FACE-OFF, we are communicating to you guys a message too. And today it's going to be about communication. And first off, I just wanted to send a good luck, a wish of good luck to an aspiring colleague, because like you're hoping to enter what you say is show business, right? The entertainment business through movie and editing. Can you tell me a bit about your interest with the movie making industry?
So back when I was young, I used to watch a lot of movies because that's all I could do. And they always interested me. And like the scenes where there were special effects, or the way a scene is set up, or the camera angle, it always intrigued me about how everything was set up or how it works. And so moving my interest into this business, I'd like to know more about how everything works or how the movie magic works.
It's so fun because you mentioned when you were young, you watched a lot of movies. You're still very young. And
Yes.
I'm thinking, still very curious about movies. You're still figuring it out, right? So what do you think communicating is like in the movies that you've seen so far? What has the movies that you've seen, I mean, told you?
Well, sometimes communicating is not always about direct communication. It can also be indirect. For instance, like the hidden messages in certain quotes in the movies or certain parts of the movies. For instance, communication here could be the deeper meaning about the inner conflicts of a character or certain events that happen throughout the movie.
Right. When we're watching movies, we also watch and pay attention to the subtext, to the context, to the screenwriting and the way it's edited, to how scenes connect with each other, right? And as you say, movie communication isn't always direct, but if we're talking about a more direct method of communication in media, it's about emceeing too, right? And I think you've also told us that you are very interested in emceeing. So far, what are some emceeing projects that you've done?
I've been the MC for 2 events. That's my school's Halloween event, and it's also a movie competition that's also in Halloween. What I do in these projects and events is that I lead people and I talk to people about what's going to happen next or what the events are going to be like, and announce the prizes and all of those, like how a normal competition would be.
What do you think is the importance of communication in creating shows like this? Like the shows that you have joined and the projects that you have been through?
Well, the first importance, I think, is how you get the attention of the people watching, or how you make your certain situation or current scene interesting. In the way we communicate, we all have each different styles of communicating, and it's what makes our way of communication differ from each other, and that's what makes it interesting. And I feel like a lot of the reasons why people watch these shows is because of how we communicate to them, how we are interacting with our viewers, and that I think is very important in this business.
When in communication, it's actually a 50-50 bargain, because 50% of the time we're speaking, but 50% of the time we're listening. So what do you think is the importance of listening in a conversational context?
I think listening is one of the most vital parts of communication. That is because when we listen, we tend to, like you said, intake more information. And if we spend more time listening to others, if someone's talking to us and we're just thinking of something else and we're not really listening, then it'd be hard to reply to them in a correct way or an efficient way. So I think listening is very important, and it should be taken into account when you're trying to speak to others.
Right, and I'll round back a bit to your hobbies and interests, which is in the movie industry and in the emceeing world, right? So we've already talked about how we can communicate, how we can speak through movies and medias like that, but how do we listen to movies and media? What's the way that you listen?
When in movies, I usually listen to like the emotions or the sounds or the sound effects or the sounds in general of a scene or a certain part of the movie. For instance, when if they're trying to portray a background to the movie or like build up a world, I pay attention to the music. If it's eerie and dark, I know that it's trying to make a dystopian world, or maybe it's a dark movie or a horror movie. But if the music's bright and all nya 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 nya, that then
Okay.
I know that it's trying to portray a happy idea.
I think that translates to real life too. And when we listen to the way people speak, like we take time to digest their emotions when we listen to somebody. Like there are many ways in which you can intonate a sentence. For example, I'm happy, it means I'm genuinely happy. But when I say I'm happy, it's like I'm not sure, right? So when we really listen to what others have to say, it tells us a lot about the bigger picture of the situation. Is there a situation in which you realize that effective communication is really important?
Oh, I think this is between a pretty usual thing that happens. Well, so usually I talk to everyone around me, and one of the people I talk most to are my parents. And so sometimes when you're just feeling down and you're angry, you go home and sometimes you just lay it out all on your parents. You argue with them and you don't really display the real thoughts you're thinking. And so sometimes that could lead to your parents not understand you correctly, which is a real problem these days where it's hard to try to portray our ideas with our loved ones and the people we really want to understand our thoughts. So I think that's when I really realized that effective communication is important.
I think this is a very refreshing point of view, actually, from a young man trying to communicate with his parents. And yep, these are the things that go through a young mind, right? This is the period where you refine your communication skills, and one of the environments that help you hone is in your family.